doing, buddy? I'm gonna play carrot snake. I'm gonna play carrot snake. His absolute favorite toy. I have a big bag full of these snakes to replace them when he tears them up too much. Isn't that right, Goo Bear? You gonna help me film? What about you, Chaos? You gonna help me film, buddy? Good puppy. Yes, good boy. Oh, look at you. You're such a handsome kitty. Such a handsome kitty. Let's film. Hello everybody, my name is Joshua and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where we discuss books both new and old. I will share with you pictures of my cats, will make you wish they were your cats, and I will drink enough coffee for me and everybody watching. The mug today is my bibliophile mug. As awesome as this is, I got it at Barnes & Noble. It was only like 10 or 15 bucks. Another news shirt. There's certain people who like this. It's dinosaur bones, but if you get in close, it's actually made up of flowering plants. Same place that I got that other one, Wicked Clothes or Wicked Clothing, I think it is, where I got a few really awesome shirts. So I am here today with my May TBR, and I made sure that you guys got some cat footage at the beginning there. You'll see little clips of them as we go. Havoc there. I know you see the mess of bags there. I've said it before, but that one loves to play with bags. So it's not just us being messy people. It is entirely Havoc. As I said, this is my May TBR. Structuring it the exact same way. This has been working very well for me to do 4 audiobooks, 5 ebooks, and 6 physical books. And then it gives me time at the end of the month, usually a week or so, to kind of read whatever I want. And like I said, this has been working so well for me because I don't necessarily like being tied down by a TBR, but sometimes it can be overwhelming to have so many books to read and then I go in there and have no idea what I want. So this is a good balance, a good mix for me, and I'm hoping that you guys are kind of enjoying it as well. So I'm going to go on and jump in, start with the audiobooks. Now this first one was actually part of my TBR from last month. It's just such a long one that I'm not going to finish it until we are at least a few days, maybe a week into May. So I'm counting it for this one as well. This is Robert Jackson Bennett's American Elsewhere. And this is about a woman, her father dies, and she finds out that when her mother died years ago, she actually left this house in this little town called Wink near New Mexico, and she never knew about it. So she goes out that way to see, you know, if the house is salvageable, if it's sellable, and it seems like one of those towns where, you know, everything is just relaxed. Everyone is laid back. The people are very odd, but they all seem very content as well. And of course, as she's there longer, she learns that there's some really weird stuff going on. There used to be a government facility where they were doing some sort of experiments, but for some reason, even though everyone in the town acts like they've been there forever, no one seems to recall this place or anything about it. They don't remember her mom being there, despite the fact that you know, she owned a house there. And so it's interesting. It's very long. It's very long. I think the audiobook is something like 22 to 24 hours or something like that. So very lengthy. Like I said, I should be finishing it up in this first week of May. But that's why I'm including it here, though, because it is still eating up some of my May time for audiobooks, which I don't have as much time for, obviously, as I do the ebooks and physical. Now, the next one I'm going to jump into for audiobooks, though, is one I'm very excited about, and I know you folks have heard a lot about. This is S.A. Barnes' Dead Silence. And this was the big science fiction horror of the year last year. We don't get many that are straight science fiction horror. This was one that kind of blew up. A lot of people were into it. I've heard very mixed things, but I desperately wanted to read it. And unfortunately for me, the hardcover was like $25, and I just couldn't justify spending that. So luckily, Scribd, which is what I use for my audiobooks, they are putting that out. Just put it out a few days ago. Just made it available. So I'm very much looking forward to getting into this. I love anything science fiction that can take a horror tone, and so like I said, this is one I was very interested in. Very much wanted to read as soon as it came out, and just couldn't justify the money, but finally gonna get to do that. I know some of you guys and gals out there have read this, so if so, let me know down below what you thought of it, and whether I'm in for a good one or whether I may be wasting my time. I'm gonna stop here briefly because I think I can get a shot of Chaos down here. There you go. Hey buddy, what you doing? You listening in? Do you have anything to say to the people? You have anything to say to the people? I value your opinion very much. He's really probably just waiting because that thing that looks like it may be a jacket is actually his blankie. Or so he seems to think. So he's probably just waiting so that he can hang out on his blankie. Also, you may hear some clanging in the background. This is when we typically do our workouts. So Paige is working out, and I decided to take time to do this instead. Alright, getting back into it. Audiobook number 3 of the month. Now I've messed up my camera angle. Oh, cat crossing. Hey buddy. So audiobook number 3 for the month is Joe McKinney's Dead City. This is technically a reread for me. I've never listened to it, but I did read it probably a good 10 years ago. This is the start to a zombie series that Joe McKinney had, and I recall really enjoying it. I don't think I've had any zombie fiction that recently. And it's just one of those things. I know a lot of people get tired of it, and I don't. I love I love zombie fiction, so I'm hoping, like I said, that this will maybe rekindle that, and I can get back into that series, reread it and continue on with it where I left off. But this is about, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly, he is a police officer or a retired police officer in the city. Everything goes to crap. The zombies start coming out. People are getting eaten and turned into zombies. And his wife and child, maybe, are, off in another city, and he's just trying to get to them and rescue them. I say these are vague recollections, so I could be wrong on that, but it's something within that realm. This is actually a relatively short audiobook. I think it's only like 7 hours. So, looking forward to that. Looking forward to some zombie fiction again. And then the final audiobook of the month is one that I just happened to chance upon that had one of those premises that sounded so interesting that I couldn't help but be interested. This is Margaret Wappler with Neon Green. And this takes place in the 90s, but it's an alternate 90s, where really the only thing different is that aliens have made contact here on Earth, and there is this contest going on where you can win a trip with the aliens to another planet. And these folks who want nothing to do with that happen to be picked for it. So the aliens keep landing in their backyard. It's driving them nuts, and there's this whole battle between them and the aliens about them getting off their property and why they don't want this. And it sounded very odd. I'm hoping it takes maybe a whimsical sort of turn and isn't so serious with such a ridiculous concept. But I really don't know. I haven't heard anything about this book. And like I said, I just chanced upon it. Sounded interesting and unique, so I'm going to give it a go. Now on to ebooks. The very first one that I'm going to start with is Jon Cohn's Slashtag. Now, I have not done my wrap-up for last month, but if you watched my TBR, you'll know that I read Jon Cohn's The Island Mother, and both of these books came to me via Book Sprout or Book Funnel, one or the other. So The Island Mother was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'll be talking about that more coming up. And so I agreed to read and review Slashtag as well. This is about a group of influencers who are to take part in the first ever live event where they're stuck in this place together, have to solve creepy, scary puzzles to try and get out of this haunted house, and the winner is given this crazy amount of money towards their charity of choice, and they become the official sponsor of this company. And of course, to no one's surprise, they get there, things go haywire, and these influencers start dying. Specifically, they start dying, on like a live stream, if you will. So it's not an entirely unique concept. We've seen some of this as of late, but it's one that I think hasn't been explored to its full potential yet. And I think this is going to be a fun one. Still slowly working my way through the original Goosebumps series. So next up on my list is R.L. Stine's Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. This is one that I don't remember a whole heck of a lot about, honestly. So it'll be a quick and easy read, but like I said, just making my way through there. And I've had some surprises in regards to books that I thought were some of my favorites in the series, and I ended up not caring for as much now as an adult, and others that I had totally forgotten about that ended up being really fantastic. So I'm interested to see which direction this one goes in particular. Ebook number 3 is Holiday Horrors, edited by Clark Roberts. This is one where every contributor picked a particular holiday, didn't matter what holiday, it had to be a holiday of some sort, and wrote a horror story about that holiday. So I think it is less focused on, just your typical Halloween or Christmas, and there's others in there like St. Patrick's Day, maybe Arbor Day, that sort of thing, where you don't see themed stories about them as much, especially in horror. So I'll be interested to see how it goes. It's on the shorter side at, I think, something like 250 pages. And this is an editor that I'm not necessarily familiar with either. I think it'll be a lot of, new faces and names for me. And that's always a good time. You can, it's nice to find an author that you've never heard of, especially someone new that you can kind of root for, in future years. All right, number 4 is Publishable by Death. And this is by ACF Bookens. So this is a cozy mystery, cozy murder mystery about a new resident to town. Her name is Harvey. She has just recently opened a bookstore. In fact, on opening day, she finds the body of a rather annoying reporter in her bookstore, of course. And so, of course, she is kind of tasked with figuring out who did it, because obviously fingers are pointing her way. The issue here is that there's this large influx of people in town currently for the Harriet Tubman Festival to celebrate their most famous resident. This is part of a series, I believe, the start of a series. ACF Bookens. She does a lot of cozy mysteries actually. Has quite a few series started, and this will be my first actual read from her, so I'm interested to see how she does. I was tempted to just pick up an Agatha Christie, but I really want to find a cozy mystery author that works for me, because really all I have is Lee Perry, which she's fantastic. I love her books, but I want more, It's one of those things, I want to enjoy cozy mysteries. I just haven't found that many that actually work for me yet, So I'm going to give this one a go. And then the final book, final ebook anyway, is Just a Girl. And I'm not going to say the full title. I'll show it here because there's cursing involved, and I don't want to get in trouble for that. So this is an anthology of horror stories about and by women. So this is new, just came out, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I mean, what else can you say? It's horror. Typically in horror, women are the victims. They're there to be victims. Sure, you get your final girl, but I think in this case, it's more showing that these women are more than just final girls, and so I applaud the authors for that. And I'm very much looking forward to digging into this one. This was released by Sinister Smile Press, I think it is. And then we're on to the physical books. So let me get a little sip of coffee here, and we'll get into it. All right, my 6 physical books for the month. I've got, again, an interesting mix here. I try to not just pick one genre, and I think I've done well with that. Starting off, I recently made a trip to Florida, my very first trip since we moved here, so it's been about 5 years, something like that. And my father-in-law purchased the new Stephen King book for me, Fairy Tale, with this absolutely beautiful cover. I'm sure you've all seen it by now. And I have managed to go into this book blind. I don't know how, because typically with the Stephen King, I know everything about it before you ever touch the book. But I'm going into this blind, and that's what I want to do. I have expressly ignored any sort of talk or reviews or anything like that that talks about this book. So I'm going into it blind. I'm looking forward to going into it blind, and this will be the very first one that I pick up in May. Following that, this is a book that I picked up on eBay a while back that just haven't made it to. This is a short story collection by Mr. David Bowles. This is Chupacabra Vengeance. It says, from a pre-Columbian wilderness to an ice-choked future, from haunted borderlands to post-apocalyptic ruins, and all the lush but vicious worlds between, these 15 tales reveal the hidden courage, despair, and depravity of people forced to face the darkness. Some overcome, a few surrender, the rest are consumed by vengeance. So, getting into some Mexican mythos in this. I would like to say that it is primarily horror themed, but I imagine that there's probably some bit of fantasy involved in here as well, and I know mythology. So this is, again, by an author that I have not read anything from before. This has really nice illustrations here before each story as well. Not many Mexican authors really get to bring their work here to the United States, and very, very few Mexican horror authors in particular. So this is another one to be looking out for, and I will certainly share my thoughts on this one. All right, number 3. I want to get some younger fiction in there, if you will. So I picked a point horror book, and I don't know how to say this one's name, honestly. From Point Horror, this is Prom Dress, and this one just it sounds so silly that I can't help but enjoy it. It says, Robin is too poor to buy a new dress for the prom. Then she finds a perfect, beautiful dress in the attic of her mysterious employer's house. She borrows it to wear to the prom and dances into her worst nightmare. Then Felicia finds the dress. The price she pays for wearing it is more than any girl should pay. But Nicole is too smart to be caught by the dress, isn't she? Poor Nicole. And then there's Gabrielle, Robin's little sister. Did she find the dress, or did the dress find Gabrielle? Can anyone stop the fatal attraction of the prom dress? So you would think after the first 4 people die, or whatever it is that happens to these girls wearing this prom dress, that people would stop wearing the prom dress, maybe burn said prom dress, but it doesn't sound like that's the case. So I guess we have a haunted, deadly prom dress here, and I can truly say that that is not something I have ever read about. So we'll see how that goes. All right, number 4. I picked this up a long time ago. There were a couple folks that were really excited to hear my thoughts on it, and then I just let it sit on my shelf forever and ever. This is Aliya Whiteley with The Beauty. And this, in addition to having a beautiful cover, has a very interesting little tale to tell. So, this says, somewhere away from the cities and towns in the Valley of the Rocks, a society of men and boys gather around the fire each night to listen to their history recounted by Nate, the storyteller. Requested most often by the group is the tale of the death of all women. They are the last generation. One evening, Nate brings back secrets from the woods. Peculiar mushrooms are growing from the ground where the women's bodies lie buried. These are the first signs of a strange and insidious presence unlike anything ever known before. Discover the beauty. Very interesting premise. Just at 200 pages, so rather short. And apparently there's a short story in here, so even shorter than I thought. But this is supposed to be a gender-bending post-apocalyptic horror. And again, one with just a really interesting premise. Then I decided I needed to get some fantasy and science fiction in again. I'm trying to get a little bit in every month. I've had a lot of horror here. So for my fantasy, this is one that I picked up at Goodwill a while back. This is Nancy Yi Fan with Swordbird. If it would focus. It's a really pretty cover. And this is a middle grade fantasy, in particular about blue jays and cardinals that have turned against each other. According to legend, only Songbird, son of the Great Spirit, has the power to conquer evil and restore peace to the land. But is he real or just a myth? Can Swordbird arrive in time to save the forest, or will it be too late? And what's really interesting about this is that the author, Miss Nancy Yi Fan, wrote this when she was 13 years old. So, I am really excited to see what this girl did. And now this is slightly older at this point. This is from 2007. So, Miss Nancy is an adult now, and I hope she's still writing today, honestly. So I'm going to do a little research into her as well. But I'm really excited to see what this 13-year-old girl came up with. And then to finish the month off, science fiction, I decided that I needed something really great, something that was going to lift my spirits. So for the first time in a long time, I'm reading my absolute favorite science fiction anthology of all time. This is Machines That Think, edited by the late great Isaac Asimov. This is like the holy grail of science fiction for me, because this is what got me into science fiction. I read this from my local library as a wee one, and I never looked back. I immediately fell in love with stories about robots and artificial intelligence and anything to do with Isaac Asimov, and I just never looked back. So, like I said, this is one that I know I'm going to enjoy every moment of. It is on the lengthier side, and I have to be really careful with this because this is an old, beat-up copy. So I may be a little slower on this. I don't know for sure. I don't see why I wouldn't finish it in the month of May, but maybe it'll extend to the month after. I don't know. But this is one, though. This is like a little treat to me to end off the month. Even though I'm kind of starting with a treat in the Stephen King realm. So that will do it for me for my May TBR. You got a little cat footage in there in between. A little more to end it off. Here he is with a big yawn and a stretch. There you go, buddy. And I'm going to go on and end it here, guys. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns for me, leave them down below. I know I've been really bad about answering comments lately, but I'm going to catch up on those hopefully in the next couple of days. And from this point on, I'll start answering the comments within a day or two, at least, of them being left. So, thank you all for joining me. Stay safe, drink great coffee, have a wonderful weekend, guys. Cheers.